Responding to the only comment on the channel today, I made a video concerning someone using the Digital Millennium Copyright Act frivolously by flagging a channel that was critiquing not their work, but their promotion of someone else's work that was, basically, it was, in my opinion, an example of fair use. So let's listen to someone's response to me. But if you were to use a significant portion of their video and attempt to reduce their income from YouTube, they might have a legitimate copyright claim against you. No. The copyright claim is based on the idea that you take this video and let's say you intentionally made a spoof of it to try to drive people away from my channel. Would it actually have an overt, demonstrable effect on me making an income? A very good example of this is me building an operating system by replacing one piece at a time. This is the something ship or the family broom analogy, but replacing every piece of Windows 98. It's actually small enough I've actually done this with pieces of software with the same purpose for each DLL or executable, but totally replacing it, but using the same file names so that they all work indistinguishably. Replacing Notepad with Notepad Plus by just renaming it Notepad and telling it to identify itself as being, for purposes of usage, version number matched to Notepad. Windows won't care. It'll just assume it's a copy of a Notepad made by Microsoft Corporation, as long as the version number matches at a minimum number. If I did that with literally every component of the operating system, and removed all the branding so it isn't really Windows 95, 98, Millennium, XP, Windows 7, whatever. And incidentally, I have done this. If I replaced, in the case of 98 anyway, if I replaced literally every part of it, and the only thing that was the same was the file names just to make it completely compatible, this would be a work-alike and function-alike that would be indistinguishable except for the fact that it would overtly tell you this isn't Windows. Every file's been replaced. Would this have the effect of reducing Microsoft Corporation's ability to make money? Fuck yeah, that would be the point. But would it be able to be called a copyright infringement by just using the file names to make it to where you could drop in any one of these individual components, drop in replacement for every program on a Windows machine, and make it to where it never has to be updated again because Windows 98, 95, and Millennium are no longer produced? Would it affect them? Oh, well, they don't make money off of it. No, they don't. So there is no way. It has to be the effect. If I did it when Windows 98 was being put out, the complaint would be that I wrote or made or cobbled together a complete work-alike replacement for Windows 98, which has actually been done twice. But if I did it at the time, would this significantly affect them? Yes, but that's competition. The reason for the fair use genre of activity, or the ruling on it, is based on intent, effect, and methodology. So let's go this again. If someone made a video trying to prevent them from making money promoting a fake product, yes, that would work, right? But it's not a copyright violation. It's not a significant portion of their work. Me doing a critique of this frame in the video right now. If I critiqued this, and I was somebody else, there's no way to use any part of it or all of it without being infringing 100% of it, but it's a single frame. But I'm critiquing a single frame because it has a glitch. I did that with a video from a band called Ghost, called Stonehammer. I reviewed literally one frame of it because it contains what looks like hand-drawn in stuff that looks like some sort of Easter egg. There's no way to not infringe on 100% of that one frame of the video, and that may have been a major important part of it. In fact, the video may have a lot of hand-drawn artwork, and each individual frame is a picture. But I'm doing it for a purpose of critique. I'm not trying to reduce its value. I'm not trying to tell people not to watch the video. I'm encouraging them to do so. But on the other example, if I make a rip-off operating system, we'll call it a rip-off. It's not a copyright violation for a simple reason. Operating system and software copyrights are based on you copying the fucking code. If no part of what I built was a literal copy of it, then you'd have the same argument that Apple made against Microsoft Corporation. You copied the look and feel of our Windows mouse and icons interface, the WIMP interface. That's what it's called. No, they made a competing product that used a similar set of rules, and you didn't copyright or patent that idea. And it's a weak patent because it had been done before. So now we go to, what is the copyrightable item? A creative work. A person sitting there saying, buy Waptec lenses. It's an ad. Me spoofing that ad or using pieces of it and critiquing it cannot, by definition, because it's done for critique, ever be considered a violation of copyright, because I'm not copying their entire work or even a majority of it. And I'm trying to have an effect on their ability to sell something because I'm saying don't buy their product or don't do that. Or that I'm pointing out they have a financial best interest in it, or they said things about it that are simply not true. They didn't test it. You can't critique them without using some or all of their work, depending on what it is. In this case, if it was a single frame ad in a newspaper, I'd have to use the whole damn thing. It's impossible not to do it. In the case of Thunderfoot and other people, lots of people, who went after these people, the company making the product, they went after all the paid shills they had on YouTube by pointing out the shills' work, not the original company's work, because pointing out the original company's original ad copy, you'd have to use 100% of the screen image. And they're a company with enough money, they're going to hire a bunch of lawyers just to fuck with people. But individual shill channels aren't going to have a law firm behind them. So you could say that this legitimately has one point of violation, reducing the value of their work, but that's also the point of critique. If I'm critiquing somebody who's lying about the Wanda Fuca plate, let me see where, that way, 20 miles away, I'm allowed to critique the work and do 100% of it. It's called peer review also if I do it for science. They might have a legitimate copyright claim if it wasn't a copyright violation. The copyright has to be stealing their work and not giving them credit. That was done. And doing it for the purpose of damaging. You may have a point there. And a bunch of things. The problem with fair use doctrine is it's very subjective. No, it fucking isn't. It actually isn't. There's a set of criteria rules you have to use. If you take my video and colorize it, or black and white it, and then colorize it to where I have bright purple skin and make it to where it looks three-dimensionally inside out, so it looks like I'm a mask turned inside out talking that away, you've done significant alterations to it. You could literally be playing the audio unedited, and the majority of the content, the work, has been edited, has been altered for some effect. You might make this interspersed with images of my face and portray me as some sort of psychedelic demon ghost in the machine. This would be a funny critique, I suppose. I'm making this up as I'm going along. But the point is, even though I just pulled that out of my ass, it's not shitty. This is an example of a person altering the work. This wasn't uploaded wholesale. Me copying KDA's Pop Stars and dumping out as a video wholesale. That's a copyright violation. Me doing a full cover of it isn't a copyright violation, except the work itself and all components of it have been copyrighted individually, so I would have to get a licensing for it. However, if I did a spoof of it, it's covered. I'm legally allowed to get away with it, because I'm spoofing them. The only guidance for fair use, according from Stanford, the person says, is provided by a set of factors outlined in the copyright law. These factors are weighed in each case to determine whether a use qualifies as fair use. One important factor is whether use will deprive the copyright owner of income. Yes, that's an opinion. Will it significantly affect that person's income? Maybe an argument. But again, the whole point is you're critiquing them. If the effect is damaging their income capability from critiquing the work, if you're very specific about it, then great. If Thunderfoot, it's actually Thunderfoot we're talking about, said, I'm going to take every dime you have and ruin your life, that's a different thing entirely. That's just literally harassing them. But if you say, you didn't do this, you didn't do due diligence, and you're promoting a product that you didn't test because if you tested it, it wouldn't do any of the things you said it did. That is not trying to deprive them of their income, even if that's the effect. The effect and intent have to actually match someplace, right? Unfortunately, weighing the fair use factor is often quite subjective. This is an opinion someone gave. By definition, it is not. I don't consider it that way. For this reason, the fair use roadmap can be tricky to navigate. And it's stanford.edu /fair use fair use at Stanford. Well, that's very nice, except for one thing. Every one of us on YouTube is horribly aware of this. A minimum alteration of an image is like 25%. A minimum alteration of the work is commentary, bare minimum. Me reviewing your comment, you can claim a copyright to this. I'll even archive it so you can have it at the low in the description if you want. And I'll archive the fair use thing. By making an archive of it, I've made a wholesale copy of your comment and of the fair use doctrine commentary on stanford.edu. But I haven't violated a copyright, and the archive can't be considered that because it's being done for a legitimate reason, to make a frozen copy to prevent it from being deleted, because we're talking about your commentary and theirs. In order for me to critique your statements or respond to them, I have to make a copy that can't be erased. So I will use an archiver. By the way, if anybody's curious, archive.is, today, all the other names, they had to create yet another domain name subset because everybody keeps demonizing them because they don't filter. Archive.org has been erasing archives of anybody who has enough money and enough criminality to have proof of what they've done removed from the internet. People have archived me making an idiot of myself in the comment section, or archived their own insults or accusations that were baseless so that they're permanently recorded someplace. And I never actually sued anybody or copyright claimed anybody. But archive.org takes things down if you pay them enough money or threaten them. Archive.is does not. So what happens? They lose domain names. They lose the right to have a website you can go to archive things. Someone's out there trying to erase history. Someone will go through and eventually and take down Thunderfoot's channel. So all his critiques and all his debunkings will be gone. But the people who lie over and over again, who just sort of reincarnate into the next huckster, will be there forever. So they're always going to be work for me because I'll create another 20 channels if I have to. I have currently, I think it's 4. Your comment is noted. Thank you very much for posting this. But fair use, while it is considered by someone at Stanford who wrote that, and I agree, can be subjective, this is not an example of any subjectivity at all. It is pure critique. Reaction channels have been sued. You're doing a reaction. You're using my work. Yes, and they're adding to it because they took your 5-minute video and turned it into a 2-hour rant about capitalism. It's an example. It's better to use more than one. But when you do that, more people will use a bullshit excuse to harass. And this will be the last post of this. Copyright claims on fair use doctrine are not the same as YouTube and Google ignoring fair use doctrine and willy-nilly shooting down channels with one strike and you're out because someone simply bitched loud enough. It is not a level playing field until it's fair. Fair use doesn't exist in an unfair environment. This is YouTube. It has never been fair, and Google has always been evil. So I'm a little reactionary about this, but I do appreciate your comment, and I will make sure it's archived so you have a copy and I have a copy, and everybody else can if they want to. And if nobody gives a crap, it will disappear in the mists of time, like so many of my channels and videos. Just like our existence on this planet. We're ephemeral. But I wish for you, critiquing me, to be permanent. And I thank you for your comment. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with all that.